Are you struggling to understand Deepwoken? Are you decent at the game but looking for ways to improve? Are you just buying the game and confused on how you could possibly understand this ever-expanding game? Well, you've come to the right place. I will be covering 6 different segments, and there are bookmarks for each section, so feel free to skip through if you already know most of the stuff in one of the sections. I'll try to include small tips that aren't as well known to make sure you guys don't miss out. So first, I'd like to begin with the fundamentals. Your character starts with 2 lives. If you perish 2 times consecutively, you are sent to the depths. If you perish in the depths, your character is gone forever, unless you have 1,000 Robux to spend, and if so, slide on my way. When your character is at 1 life, it is indicated by your health bar being rusted. If you level up, your character regains a life. Keep in mind, you will not regain a life if you're in depths. There is also a level up system in Deepwoken. The max level you can hit is level 20. When you level up, you are given a choice between cards. Tan cards represents common talents, red cards represent rare talents, teal cards represent advanced talents, not to be confused with the blue cards that represent mantras. I'll explain these later. And finally, the dark gold cards represent your traits. There are 4 traits in the game. Vitality gives you health, erudition gives you tempo and ether, proficiency gives you weapon scaling and penetration, and song chant gives you mantra scaling and mantra penetration. Pen stands for penetration and is the percentage of your damage that will bypass your opponent's armor. Also, these are called aces. The orange ones remove the talents, and the blue ones freeze them for your next level up. Okay, now on to the fundamentals. By hitting F, you can parry almost any attack. This should be self-explanatory, but for those of you that don't know, this is one of the most important features. Another technique to avoid damage is dodging. By hitting Q, your character will roll and dodge attacks. Unless an attack is bugged, you are able to roll any attack. Quick note, if you right-click during a roll, you perform a roll cancel. This shortens both your roll and the cooldown and is very important for smoother combat. If you get an attunement, you are able to use mantras. These are essentially your magic moves that deal far more damage to your M1s, normally. If you click both left and right click as you cast a mantra, you will perform a mantra feint. This can help with mixing up or confusing your opponent. Really important tip, when logging from the game, use the Deepwoken log button, not the Roblox leave button. If you leave the Roblox or Alt F4, your character lingers and can get killed. Also, I like to explain the combat system. When you are hit by a player, you are put in combat. If you leave the game while in combat, you lose a life. By right-clicking during a swing, you can feint your swing. This is also used to mix up your opponents. Once you hit power 20 and kill a few bosses at level 20, you can unlock something called a bell. New players likely won't obtain these for a little bit, but it's still nice to know. Here are a few maps and the names of the different locations. This is Etris, this is Arisia, this is Mini Tirsa, and this is Isle of Vigils. This map is the second sea. This place allows for better XP at the risk of high players killing you, and the most dangerous of them all, lag. Right here is Songseeker Wilds, here is Summer Isles, here is Miner's Landing, here is the Monkey's Paw, here is Fort Merritt, and the biggest of them all, here is Hive. One really missed tip that new players don't receive is the fact that when you are ragdolled, I repeat, when you are ragdolled, just hit right click on your mouse to cancel the ragdoll and return to your upright position. Also, when you hear this sound with this symbol, this indicates that an attack is not parryable. Oh, and you are able to modify mantras with certain mantra modifiers. I recommend searching videos for specific modifications. Okay, so let me explain everything that you see on your screen once you spawn. This orange bar is your health bar. The teal bar below is your ether, which is essentially your mana for those of you that play other games. The gray bar below your health bar indicates the durability that your armor has. As you get hit, the bar will decrease. Once it hits 0, you will no longer get your defense buff that your armor benefits you. The orange symbol on the bottom right indicates your knowledge, which is a currency used to make deals with shrines and other things involving your character. Below that is your notes, which is the money in Deepwoken. This is used to buy most material things as in armor or food. Oh, sorry to jump back and forth, but below your ether bar is your tempo. Tempo increases your ether regen and allows you to vent or push away your opponents. It's used as an evasive. If you press your G key, that is how you use your vent. You can only vent if the bar is blue. Now, the empty bar above your HP is your posture bar. When this bar hits max, you will get block broken. By pressing T, your character spits on the opponent. This restores some posture and heals you by a few percent. The thin, colorful bar above your posture represents your parry cooldown. When this bar isn't full, you are unable to parry attacks. The bars on the left side of your screen indicate the blood, thirst, and hunger of your character. Quick tip, when you run out of thirst or hunger, your blood will deplete faster. Once your blood is gone, your character collapses and you will most likely die. One last thing I wanted to cover for this first segment is the common terminology you might hear. Gank is a large fight, Grip is to execute. Freshie is a low level. Max is a max level, obviously. Reaper is a bell called Blood Scourge that's used to grip players. Kamui is a bell called Dimensional Travel, which is used to fast travel. Mutt is an insult you should never take to heart. Same with like when people say easy, it's really not that serious, I promise. Okay, on to the second segment. The next segment is character creation. There are 11 races in Deepwoken that affect some builds, but I wouldn't worry about them if you're new. There are 3 initial starting weapons: Battle Axe, Sword, and Stiletto. They represent the 3 categories: heavy, medium, and light. With echo upgrades, the amount of starting weapons can be increased to 10. These include the 3 I already mentioned: Way of Neve, Just Karita, Legion Kata, Quick Fang, Iron Tusk, Silver Six, and Avenger. I can see how this can be overwhelming, but I would just stick to the original 3 to start out. I will explain each weapon type later. You start the game with 1 attunement, but you can unlock the others using these methods. Click random in the slot screen and wipe over and over until you unlock all these attunements. Excluding Shadow and Iron Sting, you have to unlock these manually. Or you can unlock all the attunements manually. To unlock Flame, bring 5 Dying Embers, which are most commonly dropped by Golems, to the Flame Charm Trainer and Songseeker. For Thundercall, bring 5 Sparklands, most commonly dropped by Jellyfish, to the Thundercall Trainer and Summer Isle. For Gale, bring 5 Gale Stones, dropped by Mudskippers, Etris Guards, and Legion Guards, to the Gale Trainer and Isle of Vigils for Wind. For Ice, bring 5 Frigid Prisms, dropped by the Nevaeans at the Neve Camp, to the Frostjaw Trainer in Etris for Ice. For Shadow, bring 5 Umbral Obsidian, commonly dropped by Sharkos and Threshers, to the Shadow Trainer in the Depths. Oh yeah, and there's Iron Sting. Anyways, there's an attunement called Bloodrin that should be releasing soon, so when it does come out, I'll upload a separate tutorial on how to obtain it. Now to the boons and flaws section. Boons are good and flaws are bad. To have boons, you must have flaws. For boons, I recommend just going Steadfast, Autodidact, Survivalist, or Scrapper. Steadfast reduces armor loss and is one of the very few boons that benefits you at level 20. Autodidact allows you to invest extra points that are obtained on each level up. This one's my personal favorite. Survivalist just makes you resistant to acid rain and a few other environmental effects that I forgot. Scrapper gives you extra burns and freezes every level up. If you burn a card, it removes it from your choices, and if you freeze a card, it guarantees it'll show up on the next level up. There are many origins that you can spawn as. Etria spawns you at Etris. Isle of Vigils spawns you at, well, Isle of Vigils. You can spawn at Mini Teresa, which is the Trial of 1 spawn. Trial of 1 is more advanced, but I recommend learning this early on to speed up your character progression. By being faced against these mobs at an early level, you are able to level up insanely fast. Castle Light and Diluvian Mechanism are both unlocked by talking to Akira, located here on the map, and then talking to him again at Castle Light. For both of these, you are forced to progress in the depths. They make it harder to escape depths as well. And then there's Voidwalker. As of October 29th, I've heard it's not able to be obtained, but basically Voidwalker is a bounty hunter origin and is, in my opinion, the best way to learn about fighting and getting better at the game. To obtain this normally, you would grip 10 players and then talk to an NPC on a sea event, shown on screen, but it is bugged right now. The Ignition Delver spawns are obtained by completing the Orion quest and doing the Arc Order quest. You can search up separate YouTube tutorials for those two. The Echo modifiers are pretty straightforward. When you die, you obtain Echoes. These Echoes can be spent to upgrade future characters. Also, you can use Echo modifiers to increase the number of Echoes you receive after wiping. There are also a few talents you can obtain that are permanently unlocked on every character after obtainment. These are very important. Aerial Dash is obtained through the quest here. Engage and Critical Attack are obtained through this guy here. Thresher Scales is from this guy. Enchanted Perfection is obtained by absolutely 100%ing a boss. Usually people do a boss called Kaido. There's also separate tutorials on how to obtain Enchanted Perfection. Now on to build making. First, I'll go over the weapons. The sword is an all-rounder, good range, good swing speed, good damage. It's really beginner friendly and I recommend going. Dagger has higher swing speed but less range and damage. This makes it harder to use for PvE, but better for PvP. I don't recommend going this weapon if you're a beginner and you want to focus more on PvE. Great Axe has higher damage but lower swing speed. Heavy weapons give you hyper armor in exchange for your low swing speed. It's really good for PvE, which is very helpful for a beginner, and it's still a solid choice for PvP, if you know what you're doing. Now for attunements. Flame Charm applies burn effect and is really good damage, a great starter attunement. Ice is an attunement that's slow on hit, does really good damage, and has really good defensive talents, which is helpful to sustain, making it a solid pick for beginners. Gale is really versatile and has high damage and good mobility, making it easier to run from people who attack you, or just getting around the map. Thundercall is really good for stun, and it can cancel hyper armor moves. It does high damage, but it also has a higher skill ceiling, which isn't as beginner friendly. You could also go attunementless, otherwise known as no attunement. These mantras are determined based off your stats, weapon stats, strength stats, fortitude stats, other attributes. Oh, and there's also Shadow and Iron Sting. Just don't worry about these attunements as a beginner. You have to unlock these like manually. But I guess I'll talk about how Iron Sting does insane damage and Shadow is brain dead. Don't hate on me for that. I'm not that serious about it, but Shadow doesn't take too much skill. So if you want to have fun, I recommend using either Iron Sting or Shadow as well. And I'm not sure how Bloodrin is going to be, but I'm predicting now that Bloodrin is going to have some busted stuff on release. Listen to me now. I'm predicting it. Actually, I think this YouTube video like releases on the day it comes out, but just know I recorded it prior. Let's move on to the attributes. Strength increases your penetration every 10 strength points. You get 1% pen for every 10. It has very solid talents that increase your posture and physical resistance. 25 strength and 40 strength have really good talents. Now for agility. It increases your climb height, passive agility, how far you slide, and something else I forgot, and stealth. A minimum of 25 agility is required on most builds, just due to the fact that it has really good early investment talents. It has great talents like Ghost, which takes 40 agility and requires all the butterfly talents, and Speed Demon. It also has solid mantras like Revenge, which is quick and hard to react to. Now for willpower. Willpower increases your sanity and tempo. For the good talents to give you HP, you're going to need 5 willpower or 25 willpower. It also gives you all the dead gods, which requires 65 willpower and 40 intelligence. All this does is counters your opponent's healing. Willpower also has Exhaustion Strike, which takes 40 willpower. It's a great combat mantra and transfers your posture, depending on its level, to your opponent. Now for Fortitude. Fortitude boosts your health. Every 2 points is 1 HP, and is required on almost every build. Most builds will either go 40, 50, or 90 Fortitude for the talents, like 40 Fortitude gives you Exoskeleton, which gives you 10 HP and good resistance. 50 Fortitude gives you to the finish, which basically makes you take less damage the lower you are. Bastion talents, which are solid defensive talents, and all of them are prerequisites for Reinforced Armor. Reinforced Armor reduces the amount of penetration you receive by 40% and gives you 5 HP. It requires 90 Fortitude and 30 willpower, which counters some higher pen builds. Now for Intelligence. Each point increases your Ether by 2. Great for mage builds, but isn't really necessary for most builds as the talents don't get good until 40 intelligence. Talents like Overflowing Dam, which takes 40 intelligence, which is amazing on M1 builds, as it rewards you for not using mantras but giving you a 15% damage buff. Now to talk about how picking talents works. As you level up, choose talents that complement your weapon and your attunement. For example, if you're using Flame Charm, look for fire-related talents. In most situations, you should pick the rare talents or advanced talents. Every 2 levels, you get a mantra hand for your respective element, unless you're attunementless. Choosing the stats on your builds is one of the most key ingredients to making a good build. Almost every build has one big investment that you do prior to Shrine of Order. Before continuing, let me explain what Shrine of Order is. In modern Deepwoken, every build you'll make is going to use the Shrine of Order. All this does is takes 25 points from your highest investments and distributes the points into other stats. It behaves differently if you invest into attunements prior to using it. The shrine can take as many points as it needs to balance your stats when it comes to your attunement. Keep in mind, the shrine is going to require you to be level 8 and be without an oath to be able to use it. Now that I've explained what shrine is, before using the Shrine of Order, you'll almost always want to invest a lot into a few main stats to make sure that it balances nicely. Now when it comes to mutually exclusive talents, you can have one of the 2 talents. You can have either Ever-Changing Aegis or Return of the Dark Ages, Risky Moves or Safety Dance or Observation, Orbital Ice or Fist of Fortitude, Million Time Piercer or Ether Overdrive, Bulldozer or Dazing Finisher. Basically all this means is that if you have one of them, it cancels out the other one and does not allow you to get it. Now on to the equipment segment. Any build can be drastically improved by getting good gear. Similar to Terraria and Elden Ring, here are good places to farm each piece of armor for relatively more experienced players. Arms equipment, you can get Iron Stingers from Layer 2 or Diluvian. I'll explain Layer 2 later. Helmets, you get the best ones from Primadon, I believe. The best place to get boots is Diluvian. You can ring farm Ferryman or the Ring Angels. For earrings, just do Chaser and get the Moonlit earrings. And for torso, which is your scarf, you can get the best ones from Chaser or Diluvian. Now, outfits and equipment are 2 different things. Outfits have unique stats and their durability is represented by the armor bar previously mentioned. Some examples of good master armors and their talents are Prophet's Cloak, Authority Commander, Ignition Deep Delver, Black Diver, and a bunch more. Black Diver sacrifices a unique talent to have better stats and better ether regen. I won't explain this too much, but Layer 2 is the source of most good gear and unique weapons, because devs like to throw random new weapons into the Layer 2 loot pool for some reason. I'll do a quick run through of what it is, and if you guys want me to make a full Layer 2 guide, let me know down in the comments, even though there's like a bunch that are already made. To start Layer 2, you have to kill the Bonekeeper and turn on Generator. Once you turn that on and obtain Etheron's Gaze, you may then make your way to Chaser. After defeating Chaser, you have the option to either return to the depths or go further down into Layer 2 Floor 2, which is where you fight the final boss, the Scion of Etheron. For further information on this topic, there are many other Layer 2 guides that explain much better. Same goes for pretty much any other boss, there are many tutorials out there already. And now for the last segment, the truth. The main and most efficient way of getting better at the game, in both PvE and PvP, is to just play the game. I know this sounds redundant, but the truth is that I have never watched a tutorial on how to play the game. I just learned it with time, and this applies to anything in life. The more experience you have, the better you'll be. There's many things you can do to increase your skill in small increments, but the best way to further your skill is to just play the game. Anyways, thank you guys so much for choosing my video to be the tutorial that you listen to, and I'm more than happy to help you guys. If you have any recommendations or further questions, feel free to comment or join my Discord server, .gg/finch. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and good luck learning the game. As always, have a good morning, good evening, and good night. Poof.